This How You Mom?
My name's Haley,
My name's Jessica.
and this is our episode number 3.
3.
Last episode, which this has only been a week since we last recorded, but it feels like forever.
Yeah.
We talked about.
Oh, sorry.
What did we talk about?
Pregnancies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm having issues right now. I was gonna say, if you've made it all the way to episode 3,
Hallelujah.
I know. Thanks for sticking with us. We listened to it and everything, of course, and we felt like we were very storytelling, so we want to get away from that. Still sharing our story, but also just digging into questions. So,
And what we would what are some things that intrigued us about this whole building up process? Because obviously now we have 7-8-month-olds, but they haven't always been this old. So
Right.
what were our questions back then? So this episode, we were actually going to do both of our birth stories, but I was thinking back and I told her that we should split it up. That way I can, because we have the same but different.
yeah.
We both did vaginal. But they're
How we went in is
Yeah.
different. How long it took is different.
yeah. So I thought
So-
we could feed off each other. I could
Yeah.
ask questions that would have intrigued me after not knowing, even though I know the whole damn story.
Yeah.
So Jess is gonna go first because Waylon's older.
I had my baby first. If you have made it to episode 3, thanks so much. We are recording and we have not released episode 1. I'm just assuming it went fantastic. And
I think
everyone
it
loved it. And episode 1 and 2 were so great. So welcome to 3. Birth stories. Let's talk about that. I had a baby and he was very rude and decided to go 2 days late. So that was so much fun, being 40 weeks, 2 days. My actual due date, we have this thing called polka in where we live, and we went on a mile walk.
We
She convinced me
did.
because my due date was polka weekend. Pause.
Intermission. I want to tell you, this woman I told her, I said, let's go do the polka walk, knowing that it was her due date, right?
Yeah, it was my
it was
actual
on her
due date.
And
Yeah.
she said, I don't know. It's my due date.
Yeah,
And
I don't
said,
want to go into freaking labor.
You don't
want to
go into labor on your due date.
On a mile walk.
Oh my God. So in my mind, I'm like, you want to sit at home all day
Yes.
thinking about going into labor.
Agreed.
No, you
Okay.
don't.
And what happened?
You didn't
My
go
ass
into labor.
was up at 6 a.m. on this because you're wondering, I just have issues sometimes. Going on this damn walk is what I was
Exactly.
trying to say. So our husbands joined us, such sweeties. So we go on this walk, and I had about 0.0 contractions. Later that day, I actually started contracting. They were definitely just Braxton Hicks. And so Jarrett and I put our shoes on again. I feel like I already said this, but maybe didn't. And we went on a walk, and all contracting stopped. And so I was very upset, came home, definitely probably cried. And I was so tired of being pregnant. Tired of being pregnant.
And it was hot.
So hot. And so then...
and you work yourself up.
Yes.
And
everyone tells you that you're going to go early.
Yeah.
No, biggest lie of my freaking life.
And you keep working it up in your head like, oh, today's the day.
I wanted to meet my baby.
Yeah.
I just wanted to meet my baby. So I wanted to not be pregnant anymore.
Yeah.
Holy crap. And then I wanted to meet my son. So that was Saturday. Sunday night, Monday morning, it was 3 a.m. I wake up at 3 a.m. and it was definitely just like a different type of pain that I was feeling. Because I feel like we always went back and forth of like, how are we going to know? Like, what is this feeling? Because you had Braxton Hicks before me.
Yeah.
More than likely due to you being on your feet at work all the time.
Yeah, and I wanted to rewind too. I think, this is my opinion, and you can tell me if you
Until your
think...
opinion sucks. We're on one today.
No.
We're very spicy today. It's been a day.
I was going to say, I think, this is personal experience, I think Braxton Hicks are contractions, but they're not consistent.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's a contraction, yes.
It is a contraction, but they're not consistent.
Yeah, no.
They don't come at intervals. They don't last the same amount of time. Yeah.
I had maybe like 10 minutes worth of it, only like 5, if that, and then they were gone. The rest of the day I had nothing.
And I feel like my Braxton Hicks, again, personal experience, I feel like my Braxton Hicks were very abdominal based, but then those contractions are in your vajayjay.
And back. I woke up because I felt like this terrible pain wrapping around my back to my stomach.
Okay.
And so I woke up, it's 3 a.m., I go pee, and I get back in, or I don't get back in bed. I come back to my bed, and I'm like hands on the bed, kind of hovering over it, like just like breathing through it. I would do the breathing, but it's kind of weird. But I'll just show you how I did it. I was breathing through it, and Jarrett turns over, and he's such like he's not a light sleeper, but light enough to where if something's out of the normal, he just like pops up freaking out.
Yeah.
So he pops up and is like, what's wrong?
Oh
and I was like, oh, I'm not speaking because I'm breathing through a contraction. What's wrong? And so finally the contraction passes, and I was like, oh, I'm contracting. And then he rolls over. All right, let me know if you need me. Rolls back over. Just needed to know what was going on. So that lasted, I think at the time they were maybe like 10 minutes apart because I downloaded an app and I was timing them. 10 minutes apart, and I remember texting you like 15 different times, and you were freaking asleep, and I was like, I'm feeling this. Okay, now they're 10 minutes, now they're 8 minutes, now they're this, now they're that. And so I'm just breathing through them. And also, I felt so dramatic. Like whenever we were debating going to the hospital, I was like, am I being dramatic and they're going to send me home? But I'm also 2 days over. So it's not abnormal to go into labor right now. Like it would make sense. So I'm timing them out. My app says, I think I started at 3, and then by 4 o'clock we were getting ready to leave. So anywhere between there, I think it was like 45 minutes. My app told me to go to the hospital.
And I was just going to say, I would recommend, because again, don't go at your first contraction.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
definitely
I definitely waited.
But what did they tell us?
But see, some people, I think the rule, isn't it, I could be making this up or getting it wrong, but it's something about 5 minutes, 5 minutes apart, for a minute, for an hour. And I was almost at that hour.
Yes.
I was coming up on the hour of it.
Make sure they're staying consistent. Yes. Make sure they're lasting. Make sure they're not going away with movement, too. They say, like, if you're up moving around, but you're still contracting, and it doesn't make it better.
Right.
Yes.
And I knew they were getting worse because I was able to talk through them at first and breathe through them. And then, like, when we were deciding, okay, we're going to go to the hospital because they had dropped so quickly from 10 minutes apart to 5 minutes apart. And I didn't want to be stuck, like, it happening, especially because it, like, not foreshadowing, whatever. My labor was really fast. Yeah. And so I think had I waited, I would have been having a freaking baby like in the car, and that scared the shit out of me. So I didn't want to do that. So whenever my app told me to go, we went. But I remember brushing my teeth, and I like bent over on the counter, and I could not even stand through it. It was hurting so badly, which I thought was pain, and then the pain just only gets worse. That was nothing. So we get our crap together. We had our suitcase in the living room for like a week. It was ready to go. It was ready. I was ready. I was so confident that this baby was coming soon. He did not. He went over. So we threw the chargers. Jarrett popped up out of bed, brushed his teeth, all that stuff. And then he was like, I don't know what I was worrying about. I was trying to pack something. And he was like, you don't worry about bags. You just get clothes on. And so we're getting all ready to go. From the time we lived about 15 minutes from the hospital, from the time I got in the car to the time I got in the hospital, my contractions were every 2 minutes, I think. And they were only about 30 to 45 seconds long. They weren't hitting the minute anymore, but they were way more consistent and they were close. And so we're going into the emergency room, and I'm literally contracting as I'm trying to walk through the door. So I'm like stuck in between the two. You go through the first door and then the second door. I'm stuck in that area while Jarrett's like telling the lady that I'm about to have a freaking baby. So I have to get in the wheelchair and everything, which, speaking of that, if you didn't know, if you go into the hospital at like 3, 4 a.m., you can't go through the main entrance, which, I mean, I feel like you know in the back of your head, but didn't know at the time.
I feel like
so
I told you that.
to go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
Had you? I think you had already woken up when I finally was headed to the
Mhm.
hospital because you told me to go to the emergency room, and we
Yes.
thought we did. And he dropped me off at the main entrance and was gonna go park, and then I couldn't get in, so he had to like run to the truck and come pick me up, and I'm just standing there having contractions over and over
Yeah.
again. My gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went through the emergency room, and they told me to have a seat. So in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just go have a seat. It's fine. So I start walking towards the waiting area, and she yells at me and tells me to get in a wheelchair. And she was like, "You're not having this baby in here." And I was like, "Okay, ma'am, I'm sorry.
All right, let's not shout.
I'm sorry. You told me to have a seat. I'm going to the waiting room. I apologize. I'm a dummy." So I get in the wheelchair. They wheel me up. We're going. It's happening, which I knew it was happening, obviously, that I was about to have this baby. But it didn't like click in Jarrett's head that I was having the baby until I go in. They check me. I'm 4 centimeters dilated. And they decide to admit me. And so we're moving rooms. And as we're moving to the next room and we get settled in, there's like the baby bed and everything that
Mhm.
like they're going to put him in when he comes. And Jarrett goes, "So, are we not going home?" I was, "No,
No.
we're not. We're having a baby.
No, honey, the baby's coming today.
He's coming." I think my actual words were, "Jarrett, we're leaving this hospital with the baby." And he said, "Well, why didn't anybody tell me?" I was like, "With me
Well-
getting my little wristband and my IV, like this didn't dawn on you that I'm having a baby." Like, I'm confused. How are you confused?
On the way there and like getting, ooh, my foot fell asleep.
I thought why did I just think you're about to say, "Ooh, I'm having a contraction"?
Ooh, I'm having a contraction.
Because that's what it felt like. Oh, wait.
No, my foot fell asleep. Would you say y'all getting to the hospital and
Was he spazzing?
was
He was actually blaring, not even blaring. He just turned the music up, and he was like sitting all the way up on the steering wheel, like singing the music.
he was ready.
Yes, he was trying to calm himself for sure
Yes.
with the music, and he kept asking me if I was okay because I would just go dead silent because I'm freaking having contractions. And I was like, "I'm fine." I was like, they're getting closer. They're
Yeah.
getting longer. Like, I'm hurting. So he was definitely anxious, but
Yeah.
he's in this like hyper focused mode of like, mission is get wife to hospital.
Yeah.
And that's all he's focused on. So he had his music going, singing it. I couldn't tell you what the song was, but I promise you he could. He 100% probably knows what we were listening
Yeah.
to. I have zero idea because I was just trying to make it.
Yeah.
I almost thought about like turning around in the seat because I was just like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
am uncomfortable with the way I'm sitting. Like, I have to move
Yeah.
my body,
Yeah.
which is so crazy because that pain was nothing. That pain is nothing to what I felt later on
Yeah.
in this labor.
And then you said that y'all were in a room, but then y'all were switching rooms. How long would you say, guesstimate, that y'all were in that triage
I don't think
room?
triage. What a nurse. Because to me, that's room 1, and then I went to room 2.
Yeah.
But I was in there maybe 30 minutes.
Oh,
it was
'cause then
so fast.
you got in, they
Yeah.
checked you, and they're like, "Okay, great,
Yeah.
you can stay."
I put
okay.
also I was right at like shift change. So we got to the
Oh,
hospital
yeah.
around like 4:30, 5 something. Because we didn't leave the house till 4:15. So she was getting off at like 6 or 7, whatever the time. So I know that doctor was like, "Let me just get her in. I'm done." So
See ya.
which I was thankful that she kept me just because, again, how fast my labor ended up progressing.
Mhm.
If they would have sent me home because I was a 4, I definitely would have, I think, like, had to go right back, if that makes sense. Yeah, because they said, the nurse told me that sometimes if you're a 4, they'll send you home. They like you to be a 6, but that some doctors will keep you at a 4. So I was like, fingers crossed, please do not send me home. Because
Yeah.
I didn't want to labor at home because I was such a nervous wreck. I didn't want to have that oopsies in the car or
Well,
something.
and that is it's a common thing with first-time moms, because I'll tell you, that's what I learned in nursing school. First-time moms, it does take long. It tends to take longer to progress. So that is what they have in their mind. Oh, she's a first-time mom. It's going to take forever.
Yep.
As soon as you walk in that door and they're like, oh, she's 4. Oh, this is going to take forever.
Yeah. Especially because you
That's
have
what
to go
they're
to 10.
thinking.
Like, I have 6 more to go.
Yeah.
And I was already a 3 from my 39-week checkup. I was a 3. So I had only moved up 1. So I was definitely nervous about going home because I did not want to labor at home. It's just not my preference. Just because I don't like pain. I
Yeah.
do not like being in pain. I'm a big weenie. So
Was it so since we're getting into like now we're at the hospital,
we're at the hospital.
what was your birth plan going in?
My plan was that I was going to go to the hospital and have a baby, and if I felt enough pain to try to make it as much as I could without the epidural, but that I was not going to shame myself if I got the epidural because
Yeah.
I know my pain tolerance is at 0. Like, so I knew that I wasn't going to shame myself for getting an epidural. I think it's so beyond impressive if you give birth without an epidural because I did only make it to about a 6 or 7, I think, before I got it. And I just, if you do it, I mean, you're amazing because shit,
Yeah.
I couldn't have done it. I mean, if I had the right mindset,
Yes.
I probably could have.
I think so too.
My body would have made me.
But you wanted
I didn't want
pain relief.
Yes,
you wanted
I didn't
to have
want to
the
be
baby.
in pain.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, as for the epidural, I think it was like 7 or 8 a.m. So mind you, I've been contracting since 3 a.m. So finally, around then, 7 or 8, the pain was just definitely getting to me. It was mainly, they said he was sitting on my hip. So yes, like the contractions themselves were hurting, but that excruciating knife to my hip, that's what was killing me the most. I felt like I was breathing well through the stomach pain and the back ache, but like it felt like someone was literally stabbing my bone with the knife on my hip. So that's what
Yikes.
definitely pushed me to be like, okay, I don't want to feel this anymore.
Yeah.
So they tell you when you go in that it usually takes like 30 minutes to an hour to get the anesthesiologist there.
Well, and they have to give you fluids.
Yeah, I had to have a whole bag of fluid.
Yeah.
So I had to let them know ahead of time. So I let them know when the pain was like, I mean, it was bearable.
Which is so hard because you're like, God,
I don't know how fast
wait.
this is going to switch up on me.
Mhm.
Yeah, no. I was like, okay, it's bearable right now, but how is it going to be in 30 minutes?
Yes,
So I
yeah.
went ahead and asked for the epidural. I don't think it took that long, but also it was really early, and it was also Memorial Day, so I don't know what the like staffing was. So he came in quick. I mean, he was fast. He was really nice. So my husband doesn't do needles. So I was like, please do not look at the needle. And of course, he looked at the needle.
Oh,
And
he
I,
did?
yes, freaking dummy. And I saw it on his face of just like, oh my God, that thing is huge. And also, if you don't know how an epidural works, it's not the needle being stuck into your back the entire time.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot. I thought there was this big ass needle in my back the entire time. I didn't know it was a catheter.
But it's the same thing as an IV. Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't ask me that before.
No, I had no, because every time I would like kind of move, like push myself up in my head, I have a massive needle in my back. I need to be careful.
Wait, so when did you learn that it wasn't?
When she pulled out the catheter, when they were like, okay, we're going to take this off your back now. And I was like, oh, it's not a needle? Yeah.
I'm dead.
That's pretty embarrassing of
Did
me.
he like, when you were sitting on
the bed,
did he like come around Jarrett and like hold your hands?
Did Jarrett come around? Oh, I thought you meant did the doctor come around Jarrett?
Yeah.
I was like, no, he didn't do that. Did that happen to Logan?
No, did Jarrett come and like hold your hands?
Yeah, Jarrett sat in front of me. I'm gripping onto Jarrett, and they tell you to hunch over, hang your legs. They're going to stick you, whatever. So he cleans it off. He goes to stick me. And I am so sorry if I terrify anybody with this story. I did not have a great epidural experience. So warning right before I say this.
Yeah, what's it called? Trigger warning.
Trigger warning.
Skip a
I
couple
had
seconds.
a terrible epidural. So I'm bending over, and he like, I guess, puts the needle in or whatever, and I feel a shock against my spine and all the way down to my right foot.
Like
it was
sharp?
It was like,
or dull?
No, it was sharp. It was really sharp because I yelled and I started crying.
Oh God!
It felt like someone like. So everything's connected in your body, of course. So it literally felt like he hit my spine with a hammer, and then it just went down my entire leg.
Yikes.
I cried so hard. I immediately started bawling into Jarrett's face because he's holding me. And this is my least favorite question that I was asked multiple times in the hospital. Is it pain or pressure? because every time I was asked that, it was when I was in a lot of pain, and it's like they didn't, not that they didn't believe me, but they just needed to know.
Yeah,
Is it pain or is it pressure? Am I being dramatic or not?
Yeah.
And it was pain. So I was crying and I told him, I was like, no, that hurt. Like something feels wrong. I felt it only on the right side of my body. And so I don't know if he even got it in or just pulled it all out, but they had to redo it. So it didn't work.
So they stuck you twice?
Yeah, they stuck me twice.
Was it in the same spot?
I don't know if it was the exact same spot. It was relatively the same area.
It probably felt to you like
yes, it all felt like my lower back.
Yeah.
So whenever he told me he had to do it again, I was shaking because it's just adrenaline. I'm contracting. Epidurals are already scary because you have heard of like what they can do to you long term. But again, I don't want to be in pain.
Yeah.
So I'm choosing this small amount of pain to not have this long pain that I'm about to give birth. And so he tells me that he has to do it again. And I was like, you're actually joking, right, sir? Like, this is a tease. Am I being pranked? Am I being punked right now? So he tells me,
is there a camera in here?
So this time, he has me cross my legs and scoot back on the table and hunch more over. So I'm like holding on to Jarrett for dear life. I gave him bruises on the inside of his arms. And he stuck me again, and I felt it, but it was nowhere near the pain of that first time. So something definitely got messed up that first time around. So that's great. And I still owe him like $400 for doing that. So that's awesome. Go to collections. It's fine.
But so when he finished or whatever, did you immediately feel relief or?
Listen, the hospital I went to was so great. My nurses were amazing. Doctors, they were fine. There was just small things that were missed. Like, I don't think it was really turned on because after I got the epidural, I was almost in more pain. But it wasn't because the epidural was causing me pain. It's because it wasn't turned on. So I wasn't feeling any numbing. So I was feeling myself going. Now, I was at a 5 or 6 when I got it. So now I'm definitely pushing 6, 7.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling all of this. And so maybe 30 minutes after the epidural, I had been in the bed laying and they came and flipped me on my side because it was definitely on to where I couldn't move my legs anymore, but I could still feel everything. So I was like, why am I like tingly? Like I can feel my legs and I can touch them and know that they're there, but why am I still in so much pain? So they were coming over and flipping me, and I was like hitting the crap out of my bed every contraction, which now my contractions are every 30 seconds, by the way. I forgot to mention that. Every 30 seconds by the time this had all happened. And I kept hitting the bed, and my mom was like, because she's had 4 or 3 epidurals.
Oh, yeah.
So my mom was telling me that I should not be feeling this amount of pain if I have this epidural. She was like, so something's wrong. And of course, I'm already worried because the first time it got messed up.
Everything's wrong already.
Yes, it already started off bad. So now why am I in so much pain? And so I was hitting the bed, and my mom finally was like, okay, I'm calling somebody because you should not be feeling this way.
Oh, what a good mom.
I know. Okay, no hate to my husband because he had been awake since 3 a.m. with me. He's exhausted, so he was actually asleep during this. He had only slept about an hour total of us being at the hospital, but he was asleep during this part, so my mom was the one taking care of me the most right then and there. And so mom called the nurse, and she came in, and she maybe hit the little button thing up there once, and immediate relief. Immediate relief. I couldn't feel it anymore. On the machine. It's like locked up too. The machine's locked up.
No, but they didn't give you your
button. They did not give me that's another thing.
Yes.
They did not give me a physical button because later on in the birth, or in the labor, I was told to hit my button, and I literally was looking at everyone like they were dumb. Because what button?
Yeah.
There was no button in my hand. Don't comment that I should have hit the button because there was no button.
Nobody showed you where it was at. Nobody told you it was a thing.
Didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
So she came and she hit some button on the machine that I can't reach. And she turned it up, and oh my gosh. I mean, within minutes, I was like, thank God. I feel so much better. So then I started asking, well, how do I know when it's time to push then if I'm not feeling anything? And she was like, oh, you'll know. Like, you'll feel it. Which I hate that answer, but I promise you'll know. Because I definitely was like, ooh, ma'am. Yeah. Can we get a little check down there again?
And I know a lot of people, like, the epidural is kind of like on people's birth plans. Also, like vaginal checks are on people's birth plans. How many times total do you think you were checked in the hospital?
I was checked when I checked in right before the epidural, after because they didn't know if my water had broken yet
Oh,
or not,
yes,
so they
yes.
checked me again because I was pretty numb. It was after everything got fixed and I
Yeah.
wasn't feeling anything anymore. And I was like, "Hey, I just feel warm, like a really warm
Mm,
sensation." And so they thought my water broke, but I actually just lost my
mucus
mucus
plug.
plug.
Yeah.
And so my water wasn't broken this entire time. We had no idea. So I got checked that time, and then I got checked again. So however was that 4 or 5
Mhm.
times? Whenever I told her that I felt a lot of pressure, and they were like, "Oh, you're at a 10."
Oh, good. And then they were like, "Okay, let's set up."
Yeah, let's start practice pushing.
Mhm.
But um from the time I got checked into that room had to be like 5 or 6 a.m. and I got to a 10 by 11.
Yeah.
So it was really
It was really
fast. I think like
fast.
I had shocked them because
Mhm.
it's my first baby and it's just moving so quickly and I didn't have any drugs to like help push
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. You weren't
Um
induced.
Yep, no
Induced.
induction. It was all just Mr. Whalen boy trying to
Yeah.
come out. The only thing that was funny though is they said he wasn't really moving down, which was weird because
Well,
everything
he
was
don't
clearly
move.
No, he does not. Everything was clearly progressing, but he wasn't physically moving
Yeah.
down.
So they checked
Yes, I'm
you.
at a 10.
Well, actually, go back because basically your mom advocated for you,
Yes,
got your
because
epidural
yep,
working. You were concerned. Oh, how am I gonna know? You'll
mhm,
know.
you'll
How
definitely
did you
feel that
know?
pressure. I was just feeling so much pressure, like
Where?
not pain. Oh, it's such a good question. I would think I felt pressure down there. Like I was like,
In your
there's
bum?
in my vagine.
Mm,
I was like, there's just something going on down there.
yeah.
Not, I didn't feel him trying to get out. I
Yeah.
just felt my body was like pushing,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So I told her I felt the pressure. They checked me. I was a 10, and they set up for practice pushing. So we start practice pushing. It's basically so they can like teach me how to push. But I was like, listen, lady, I looked at the TikToks. They told me to act like I'm pooping, so that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I pushed, and she was like, "Oh, that's a really good push." I was like, "Yes, ma'am. I did my homework. I
Yes,
want this
ma'am.
baby out. I want this baby out." So we're practice pushing for maybe not even 10 minutes, and then she tells me that she can see the sack. And so she was like,
Yes,
"Oh, you
yes.
have to stop pushing." And my contractions were pretty strong at this point of me feeling them, epidural or not. And then they were going off every 30 seconds on the monitor. And so when she told me to stop pushing, I cry a lot. My face was so swollen from all the crying I did. So I was crying and I looked at Jarrett and I was like, "Stop pushing. I can't." I was like, "My body's physically doing it. I
Yeah.
can't. I mean, I won't assist it because you're telling me I can't." So she told me to keep breathing through them as much as I could. And if I truly could not breathe through it, to push. And she would be there to help me push, the nurse.
I
And so
wonder why. I wonder why. We
I know
should
that
ask
she
a
wasn't
labor.
able to break my water. She said the doctor
Well,
had to do
yeah,
it.
but what if there like what was
Is
the
there a concern?
contraindication?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder. I'll
Yeah.
have to go
I don't know
ask.
why.
I'm not a labor nurse.
I'm just a nurse.
I'm just a nurse.
So she told me I couldn't push because my water had not broken. And so they're calling the doctor, and my nurse was so great. She definitely knew that like this baby is coming.
Mhm.
Again, I was a first time mom, so doctors have seen a lot. They probably didn't believe that it was going to happen that quickly.
Yes.
So they're trying to call the doctor. It's also Memorial Day. My doctor is not there. She's on vacation or something. So I have the on-call doctor who was dealing with a postpartum patient who was having complications, and then another mother had just checked in, and so I wasn't her only patient, of course. So we're trying to get a hold of her, and she's not answering, which is great. So we had to
Mhm.
wait. It had to be like 10 minutes waiting for her to get in there. So I am in so much pain trying to push.
As you're like in the stirrups.
I'm not in the stirrups yet because
Oh.
I'm practice pushing
Yeah.
because they're trying to like push me off. Like
Yeah.
they're trying to prevent me from pushing as much as they can
Oh,
until the
yeah.
doctor's available. So I'm practice pushing. She finally comes in, and I'm like, "Thank the Lord above. I'm getting this baby out. She's here. I've been waiting." And she looks at me. Oh, it makes me so bad. She was so sweet, but it makes me so mad that she looked at me and was like, "Okay, well, I'm going to go do this ultrasound really quickly and then I'll be right back. And I looked at Jarrett like, get this bitch out of my face right now because I might punch her.
Yeah.
And Jarrett was mad because Jarrett hates to see me in pain. And so he's a solution person. So his solution is get the baby out. She won't hurt anymore.
Yeah.
So then my mom stepped in and my mom had to like calm the both of us down. And my mom is such a sweet person. She just was like, okay, go do your ultrasound and then get back in here. So the doctor, she leaves and I started crying to my nurse and my nurse was like, you can do it. Like, just breathe. We're almost there. And I was like, I can't do it. I cannot push.
It's just so crazy thinking, like hearing, because obviously I've heard this story before, but it's so crazy re-listening to you telling this because it's literally your body was like doing everything and you just had to sit there and wait for and like
just my body literally was like, bitch, push.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that was hard. That was really rough. And like end of the day, I had a really good labor, but it's just things like that where I really hope the second time around it doesn't happen like that because I think he would have came out so much faster. Total, I pushed 40 minutes, but it definitely would have been like 20.
Yeah, yeah.
So she goes and she does her little ultrasound, and everyone is important, but like in that moment, I'm like, no,
I'm important.
Me, I need help. Okay, so then this is what makes me mad too. They have a whole setup. Like all the tools they need, and like the gown and everything that they put on. So she comes in there, right? And they don't have me in the stirrups yet. By the way, my legs are still just like free hanging on the table. And I don't even think they had dropped down the second half of the table, whatever. So she looks at me and she's like, okay, I'm going to break your water. And then I just want you to push. And like, I'll tell you to stop or to keep going. Like if we think he's going to come out or like you still have a minute to go. She's like, because it could take up to an hour, 3 hours. And I was like, ma'am, I understand what you're saying. But like my nurse is over here fighting for me. She literally told her as soon as you break the water, the baby's coming out. Like she felt it. She breaks my water. I push for maybe 2 seconds and every single I had 2 nurses and a doctor. All 3 of them yelled at me to stop. And it scared the actual crap out of me because I was like, why are you yelling at me to stop? Like, what's wrong? So I immediately think something's wrong. So they all yell stop. I freak out. They pull the bed down. They throw the stirrups up. They're putting my legs in there. Someone threw the gown on the doctor. And I was like, what? I am in a movie. This is a literal movie right now. Like, what is happening? I just felt so chaotic. And she was like, okay, ready? We're going to push. And so I say 2 pushes, but 1 push is 3, if that makes sense. So it's like you're pushing, but they had me push 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, they wouldn't give me a break. Like, I had, like, a 5-second break, and I'd have to go right back.
And then you go again.
Push, breathe in, push, and then you can, like, break.
Yeah.
So they had me push 3 times within 1 contraction.
Yeah.
It took 2 contractions for him to fly out. Jarrett said he flew out. She thought the doctor was going to drop him because he was ready. He was done. And I wasn't mad. I was relieved, but.
Did you feel him come out?
Oh, my God. I felt his head come out, and my immediate thought wasn't relief. It was, oh my God, shoulders. Like, now I have to get his shoulders out.
Oh, his head came out.
His head was out, and he was just sitting there. Could you imagine? Just visualize.
Literally.
Just a head sitting out there. I can't. I was just what made me mad, too, is it kind of took away from the experience. They asked me if I wanted to touch his head, but I was just so like
ready to
done because of all the stopping they had made me do. I didn't want to stop and pause, and I regret that. So second baby, I will definitely do some head touching.
Ew.
Did you touched her head?
I did, but mine was for a different reason.
Well, they told me he was there, and they're like, do you want to touch the head? And I was like, no, I want to get him out.
Yeah.
Okay, so felt the head come out, but there's no relief because in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I got to get these shoulders out. And oh my gosh, when that baby's body came out of me, I was, thank the Lord, hallelujah. I felt it, the immediate relief of just, he's out. Yeah. And then I cried when he laid on me, and I was like, I almost didn't believe you were real because you didn't want to come out. So that was.
Like it is actually.
You're actually here now.
Yeah. Like, but seriously.
It wasn't a hysterical pregnancy.
Real. You're real. Like, I just did all that. We just went through this whole day.
Through all of this.
And we're coming home with a new human being.
Yes, you're mine.
Isn't that crazy?
Insane.
Let's pause and think about it.
When we walked into the house with him, I was like, oh, okay, you're here.
Not even that part, but the part of we grew them.
Mm-hmm.
Like before, at one point, you couldn't even see them if they were put on a plate. Mm-hmm. They were microcellular.
And now they're just in their walkers playing
huge.
bumper cars. So that was immediate relief when I got him out. Oh my goodness.
So you did do skin to skin. That's another thing on some people's birth plans.
Yes, skin to skin. He did. He went straight on to me. In the picture of me holding him, there's like blood all over my hands and stuff.
And you don't even know.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I just wanted him on me. Oh my gosh. The smell. I always was curious of like, are you going to stink?
Yeah.
No. I mean, it smelled amazing to me.
Yeah.
That's because it's my baby.
Your
I'm sure if I smelled Lincoln, I'd be like, whoa.
Where's he come from?
Somebody bathe this baby. But I smelled him. I thought he smelled wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was so sweet. I could just cry. I love him so much.
Yeah.
But that was really great. Overall, I mean, it was such a good experience. Like, how fast it went. It was just all the pausing and the stopping and the not believing me that my baby was trying to come out. So yeah, that's how Waylon Boy got here.
Yay! He's
here.
So, did you look at your placenta when it came out? That's another thing some people like to do.
I said, throw that shit in the trash. That wasn't fun, though, because not everyone, like I have so many friends, I had heard that they have to, like, push on your stomach to get that part out. Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
So you do remember,
them pushing on me?
To get the thing out.
Yeah, so the
placenta.
Yeah, so they pushed on my stomach to get it out, and then I think I went straight into stitches after that.
Yeah. How much did you tear?
Yeah, I had a 2nd-degree tear. So I had 8 stitches, which I don't know if epidurals wear off or like you have to like continuously kind of pump it into you.
Yeah.
But I felt 6 out of 8 stitches. And I don't feel like, oh, pain or pressure, because she asked me that 3 times, and each time I said pain, pain, pain as tears are coming down my face, and my mom was like, she's hurting. Like, she's not making it up. I'm hurting. I'm telling you, I could literally feel it going from skin to, like, needle going skin through skin to pull. And when she would pull it tight, oh my gosh. Yeah. I was like, ma'am, it hurts. And so the nurse came over and hit my epidural, and I didn't feel the last 2. So that was nice. But I did have a 2nd-degree tear. I had 8 stitches. They dissolve or whatever, I guess. So I didn't have to, like, get them taken out, which was nice. But I did tear.
Yeah. And
it was not fun.
And then you had to stay in like the recovery area for a little bit. How was getting up walking after?
And I never felt sick. I had already eaten and everything too, but as soon as I stood up, for some reason, Jarrett said my entire face went white.
Yeah.
She had to sit me down in a wheelchair and wheel me to the bathroom, and then I felt like I had to throw up, but I couldn't throw anything up. And then I kept telling her, I was like, well, I'm either going to throw up or I'm going to shit myself. I don't know which one it is, but I, like, have this feeling.
Oh, you probably, you like, vagaled.
What the hell is a vagal?
Vagaled. If you're watching and listening, look it up. But that's definitely what happened. Have I not told you that before? That's definitely what it sounds like.
Yeah, no, he said I was completely white, and I felt awful,
Yeah.
god awful. Oh, and I had a fever, which was weird. They were concerned about that, but she waited 20 minutes, checked me again, there was no fever.
Yeah.
So something had just like spiked.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't move me into my recovery room until I had kind of lost all that like nausea, weird feeling. And she had to put a cold rag on me, a fan on me. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was weird. And it didn't last long, and I got moved to the recovery room, which was just right across the hall. But yeah, that was weird. Yeah. And I had the shakes really bad during my epidural. I didn't mention that.
While they were putting them in?
When I got my epidural, like when the medicine was in me and everything, I could not stop shaking.
Yeah.
And then even after it was done, I shook for a while. Yeah. Like at least an hour or 2, I was shaking.
What did you bring to the hospital specifically for postpartum recovery, and like what did you use?
So I didn't this probably isn't good planning, but I don't think I brought anything postpartum wise except for comfy clothes because was it you who told me that everything gets provided? Or maybe it was someone who had already given
Yeah.
birth at the same hospital, but they were like, there's really no need to bring anything. Like,
Yeah.
I did not bring anything other than comfy clothes because
Yeah.
they told me they were going to provide it. So I used like the big old pads they
Mhm.
offer.
Those pads are nice.
So nice. And they packed me some to take home, which is really
Yes.
nice.
I was so sad when we ran out of those.
Yes. And so I used the ice pads they gave me. I had asked for 2 bottles of Dermaplast because I knew I was gonna,
Mhm.
and I used Dermaplast. I think I went through almost 4 bottles
Oh, wow.
total
Yeah.
because I sprayed everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even pack my own, what is it, Perry bottle because
They have one.
I think it was you, yeah, who told me they were
Mhm.
gonna have one. So I didn't bring anything postpartum wise other
And
than
you felt
clothes.
good.
Oh, I felt fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
they had everything I
Yeah.
needed. They gave it all to me. So I
And I
used
think
it all.
most hospitals do,
Yeah.
honestly.
I loved the
Unless you're in the rink-a-dink, like
yeah.
BFE.
I didn't really care for their mesh diaper things. I think
Yeah, I'd say that too.
I think whenever I have my second one, my aunt bought me the I think it's the, I don't know what brand it is, but they have it's like adult diapers basically.
Depends.
No, it's like Discreet or something.
Oh, okay.
Discreet. I think they were Discreet. And she bought me those. They had a little purple bow on the front. So cutie.
I
Rocking
put my
diaper.
patience in those.
I liked those way better than the mesh diapers.
Yeah.
So I will definitely bring those next time around just because for personal preference, I want those.
Yeah.
The hospital ones were great. They worked.
No, yeah.
But I definitely think I preferred those more. But I used the crap out of those. I remember sending Jarrett to the store and I was like, "Can you get these diapers for me? Size large, please."
How long did y'all stay in the hospital?
So we were quick. We checked in at, what was that, 5 a.m. or something, and we were out the next day by 1:30, and we only left at 1:30 because you have to wait 24 hours after your baby's born. So we would have been out around the 12:30 mark. But he had his circumcision, which we did decide to circumcise our son. Our personal choice there.
Yeah.
We got it the day after he was born, and he had it at like 11:30 or 12:30, something weird, and you have to wait an hour after to make sure that there's no like weird bleeding.
Yeah.
He was such a trooper. It did so well.
And then that was the only thing kind of holding y'all
Yeah,
up.
that was the only thing keeping us from going. I was ready to be in my bed. I was ready to shower. It took me 2 weeks to get all of the tape from the epidural off my back. Every time I got in the shower, we would scrub it. Like, Jarrett would help me scrub it, and I could not get that freaking tape residue off of me.
Yeah.
So I was ready to shower.
It's just wild that you did not shower after you gave birth to him.
Well, yeah, there was no point. I was barely in there.
That's true.
You were in the hospital longer than me. And if I had stayed the night 2 nights, I would have showered. But we got moved to, Lauren's crying. We got moved to the postpartum room at like 5 or 6. I immediately knocked out at 8 o'clock. Like, we ate a pizza and we knocked out from 8 until...
Oh, yeah. What was your first... I keep clicking. I need to work on that. What was your first...
not hot Cheetos. Regular Cheetos, Twix, and a Sprite. That's
That
what
was
my
your
sister
first.
brought me from the vending machine because I had not eaten since 3 a.m. because they wouldn't let me eat. So that was the first thing. And then my first meal was a pizza we got from Maud's Pizza.
Oh,
so we ordered pizza.
Now looking back, so you had a picture of what it would what it would be like, and then you had the actual experience. How close were the two?
I would say they were pretty close. Like, I went in, I got an epidural, had a vaginal birth. I was terrified of a surgery. I didn't want to have a C-section. That was I like kept scaring myself into thinking I was going to have one, like something crazy was going to happen.
I think
But I mean, other than like the hiccups, I mean, it was just that's what I was expecting. Now living it was way different than what you could imagine. But yeah, it was
0 to 10, 0 being worst experience ever, 10 being the best experience ever. What would you rate it?
Like 7.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It was all that pausing crap.
Yeah.
Like that shit. Oh.
Yeah. And now Waylon's here.
Oh my God, he's so perfect.
Yay.
I'm biased.
Yeah. Soon maybe we can have like...
The baby's on as guest.
Yes.
I could see it now. We're just sitting here, yay, as they
That's
clap.
all they're doing.
Yay. They just clap when you say yay. That's all they'll do. It'll be cute.
But if y'all think I was interjecting too much, I just really wanted to, I was trying to rethink about what, again, what questions I wanted answered. For, some people might be listening that haven't gone through this yet. Others probably have gone through this, but just seeing how different everyone's experience is. I just wanted to, like, really dig in deeper. Because those are the questions that I want to know.
And overall, it was such a good experience. I mean, there's hiccups and there's always things that can go wrong, but overall, it was really great. And I'm thankful, grateful for such a good delivery because I know so many things could have gone wrong. And like in the grand scheme of things, it was perfect. I mean, he came, it was quick. 3 a.m. contractions started, 12:30 p.m. he was born. I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything better.
I know, and some people say that with their first baby, they push for 3-4 hours.
Yeah, or like labor for 24 hours. No, thank you. I was so grateful.
What is the beginning? I'd say beginning of labor is when you're contracting.
Yeah, consistent contractions.
Consistent contractions, yeah. And some people do that forever. That's awful.
I was very grateful. I also went to a chiropractor where she told me, like, we were working on making sure everything is lined up correctly in my body to do its job. And then I also worked out up until, my due date, I was walking.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that helped.
Just
my
movement.
body. Yeah, my body was ready, equipped to get my baby out. I hope this, like, interjecting makes it feel more or less like a storytelling.
Yeah. And again, please feel free. We love questions.
Yes, questions, comments.
Nothing is weird. In my birth story, I'm probably gonna talk about all the gross things. So nothing is gross to me.
Jarrett did say it looked like a horror film.
Yeah.
He was like, it was a bloody murder scene, and I didn't see any of that, obviously.
Yeah.
He said he turned around and he was like, whoa. That's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
Trigger warning, blood.
Wait, so did Jarrett watch the whole thing?
He didn't really watch, like, he wasn't down there. He was just kind of leaning over. Because, again, you're giving birth on, like, this teeny tiny little table, basically.
It's impossible not to see something.
Yes, But he did not go down there and watch. He was up with me. Oh, my gosh. He doesn't know how helpful it was. He was in my ear for sure. But I know that he was just trying to do his best to comfort me. He was, the whole time, he was like, you got it. You're doing so good. Keep pushing. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What a sweetie.
Cute.
But yeah. Crazy. I did it.
You did it.
We did it. But like, this is about me right now, so I did it.
There's that Leo.
We'll talk about yours later. We'll talk about yours later.
But that's Jess's birth story. We hope
Yes.
If it provokes any questions, like I said, please text us, DM us, message us somewhere, find us somewhere. And then next episode will be my birth story.
All about Haley and Lakey.
Yeah. So tune in next week. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, TikTok. You're subscribed to our YouTube. Hopefully, once we get a little bit more followers, we can start doing fun stuff like lives.
And when we get more just like
comfy.
Yes, comfy with everything, we'll be able to upload video as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're recording this right now, but it's just for clips.
Yeah. All right, guys. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe.